We may not be waiting that much longer for baseball. It looks like they're finally getting close, and some outrageous offers on both sides of the table. Now it's zeroing in, and apparently they're just trying to agree on a certain amount of games, and I think that's the easy part to agree with, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you would think, but you never know with the owners and the players in MLB. I will say this: I was pessimistic last week that there would be a season, but I failed to realize that there is that hammer that Rob Manfred has, where he can impose a season on the owners and the players, even if neither one of the sides likes it. And that was the one, or that is the one that's in around 50 games. I pray that both sides, the owners and the players, compromise somewhere in the 80s, figure out a correct financial compensation plan, and that we have baseball via their compromise as opposed to the commissioner coming in over the top. Because, Les, you and I have talked about this many, many times. Anything less than 80 games or 82 games in an MLB season is really it's comical. It's really not a season, and certainly a 50 game situation just is not reflective of what MLB is all
Yeah.
about.
If I'm thinking correctly, this power that Manfred has is it's the good of the game power, and I believe it's only been used twice. That would have been the 1919 Black Sox scandal, when even though they were proven not guilty, uh, the commissioner banned them from life, and also in the 60s, or yeah, I guess the 60s, early 70s, when Charlie Finley was trying to sell off most of his Oakland A's team. Am I correct? Are those the only two times that has been invoked?
Unless I trust you a lot more on that, on the history part of it, I don't know for sure, but it hasn't happened very often. I will say this, Les: Rob Manfred finds himself in a lot of messes, and I mean, granted, this one, that COVID-19 induced situation, you can't blame Manfred for the COVID, but I wish that under Manfred's guidance and leadership, both parties would get in a room and hammer this out. And yeah, each side would have to give something, but that's the whole point of a compromise. And you don't negotiate through the media, you don't negotiate through social media or the general public. You just do it behind closed doors. But
Well,
obviously, that's too late for that.
yeah. Well, Scott Boras got into that too. He brought the agents in, which is a bad thing for baseball. But it goes back to uh, hearing some of the outrageous demands that everybody was making. It really hurt everybody. I'm going to assume they're going to get it done here, but I don't know what that number is going to be. But I don't see anybody packing their bags to go home. Let's take a look at the latest proposal from MLBPA. 89 game schedule starting on July 10th and going through October 11th. And I think that the postseason would then go to neutral sites after that. I think that's what I had heard from an interesting source. A 16-team postseason, so you got 30 teams in there. Half of them is 15, and you're talking about one more than half of the teams will get into the postseason. Players receive full prorated salaries, opt-out rights for all players who don't want to play because of the virus. And MLB owners are expected to reject this proposal, but at least it gets them a little closer. I'm not so sure what more anybody wants out of this. Let's just get it done and go play baseball.
Yeah, Les, that the MLB proposal seems reasonable to me, but then again, some of the owner proposals, player proposals, owners proposals, they all seem reasonable to me at some point in time. That's why I railed against both parties. I said, I don't care what side you're on, just figure it out for the sake of the game, for the sake of the fans. We know that the baseball players, the union wants to hold the owners to that agreement they had in March about the prorated salaries and all that. But to me, we're past the point of patience with either side.
Yeah.
Whether you're a players person or an owners person, it really doesn't matter at this point. What matters is you figure it out and you play the game. And you play, by the way, Les, enough games in a season where it is actually meaningful and you don't feel like it's nothing but a tournament.
Yeah, and I think that what you were alluding to a few minutes ago is Manfred's got to just put a kibosh on anybody saying anything about it and get this, go into a room with a couple of extra large pizzas and eat them until you come up with an agreement, and then play with it. I just wonder though, D-Man, that you and I are saying it's a phony season if it's not 80 games, let's say. I'm just wondering if it's 50 or 60 and you're getting down to the last week and the Indians are a game out of first, or as they get into the however the postseason is going to be. I got a feeling that a lot of people are going to take that as a win and root as if it is a winning a championship season, if that in fact happens.
I suppose, Les, and I said this a while ago that I didn't think that there had to be an asterisk attached to any MLB season that had enough games to be, to not be a joke. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite here by saying 50 game season to me is asterisk worthy. I would struggle to, feel great about it because think about this, Les. You've had great teams who have gone on to win World Series, struggle out of the gate, struggle in the first 40 games, and you're going to tell me that that team doesn't have a chance to recover. At least with 80 plus games, you've given a team an opportunity to recover from a slow start. And the thing about MLB, you have to give credence to the marathon element of the
Yeah.
season. It's unlike almost any other. Yeah, I get the NBA plays over 6 month period, and so does the NHL. But the fact that the MLB normally plays 162, you've got to give some credence to that. And the only way you're going to do that is play at least half of that.
Yeah,
Those
you're
games.
you're talking about uh, a chance for everybody to compete, even if they have a slow start. As we all know, baseball in the postseason, you just get there and everybody has a chance. It's even more so now that you're expanding the field, where it could be the bottom seeded team could wind up being the favorite depending on how the pitching stacks up.
That's true. And by the way, I'm not feeling sorry necessarily for a team that gets off to a slow start and might get pinched at the end of an 80 to 162 game schedule. But I think that baseball teams and the nature of the game, Les, remember this too. The nature of the game, specifically offense, specifically batting, you are going to go through slumps as hitters in baseball. It's just it's just the way it is. So to me, you have to allow for players to get out of slumps, and just as you have to allow for teams to get out of slumps.
Well, you're not going to see anybody, if this is in fact what happens, you're not going to see anybody setting any home run records, but there could be some interesting batting titles or batting categories. Maybe that 400 batting average might be in jeopardy, and I wonder how baseball and the Sabre people will take that.
Well, you're right, Les. I think, again, if you can convince me that a season is worth the time, which means more than 82 or 82 or more, then I will respect anything that comes out of that season. The world champ is a world champ. The batting champ is the batting champ. The ERA champ, the FIP champ, they're all legitimate to me as long as the season is legitimate.